All right, so like I said, this is going to be a 2023 recap, and we're going to look ahead to what's coming in 2024. I- uh, let's just get started. I mean, we've got a lot to get through, so we're going to start by looking back at the big milestones we hit in 2023. So obviously, the biggest one is we released Living Skyrim 4. Like that is, I mean, we spent I want to say 8 months working on Living Skyrim 4, and then when it finally came out in February. It is uh, it's definitely the best list I've ever made. Like we've we've never made a list quite like it, and going from Living Skyrim 3 to Living Skyrim 4 was just such a huge change, and the list turned out so good. And we just recently did version 4.2.0, and it's great. I mean, the list is in a fabulous spot. I mean, yeah, we've got bugs. I mean, every list has bugs, and we're constantly working to fix them. But I mean, Living Skyrim 4 has been the highlight of the year, really. Zipman, thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate it. And then, of course, we added Empyrean, which is a list that I personally don't make, but it is made by one of my staff, Alabast. And Empyrean is, I mean, it's everything you could ever want if you want a power fantasy list. Like, if you want to go into um, Skyrim and just be overpowered and just have a blast, Empyrean is definitely the list to do. It's I really can't say enough good things about it. Zipman, thank you so much for the subscription and the follow. And then, of course, we released the beta for Silent Skyrim, which is our premier horror list. And I love Silent Skyrim because it is so totally different. And we'll actually talk about it a little bit more here in a little bit. But Silent Skyrim is a horror list where the entire world of Skyrim is basically empty. And all that's left are dragons and undead and like spooky creatures and all of that stuff. And it's probably the most unique list we've ever made. So that's currently still in beta, and like I said, we'll talk about it a little bit more later. And then the other big milestone we hit was the website and the forum. We completely redid the website, and then we added a forum. We've got a wiki now. Like the website itself is like a very robust and powerful tool now. And I think a lot of people don't really realize how much time and effort we put into the website. We try to put every little scrap of information we can on the website. So revamping the entire thing was a huge project, and I do have more information about the website a little bit later as well. Harry Seldon Plan, thank you so much for the follow and the subscription. And I'll just say that Foundation is one of my favorite book series of all time. So I appreciate your username. Of course, we have plenty of people who have said tons of nice things about the list. But just a few highlights here that I pulled out of the yeah, Dr. Frosty, there is nothing more terrifying than that. But I've pulled out a few just highlight testimonials here from the Discord, and we do on the Discord server have a testimonials channel. So if you want to share your experience with any of our lists, whether it's good or bad, I don't care if it's good, I don't care if it's bad. I just want to know um, how you like the lists, whether you like it or don't. I mean, your feedback, people who give us feedback, it helps us so much when we are trying to figure out like, okay, this next update is going to be these things, and some of those things are almost always going to be from um, people who provide testimonials, because especially like the really long testimonials, I love sitting there and reading those, and we get so much good feedback from the people that provide those testimonials that it helps us so much when we're trying to do updates. We just um, we really do listen when people tell us things about the lists. And I really take pride in that, making sure that the lists are things that we're going in the right direction, that we want people to play and enjoy the lists. And the testimonials really do help us a lot. So I am a math nerd. I love math and I love numbers and I love statistics. So I've got a few statistics here. I think some of these statistics will kind of blow people's mind. So from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st of 2023, we gained almost 5,000 new members on the Discord server. And actually, I'm going to pull up the Discord server right now. Yeah, we are currently sitting at 24,906 on the Discord server. and we are about to hit 25,000 people on the Discord server. The growth over 2023 has just been absolutely insane. Like the people who have been coming in and joining and playing the lists, the number is constantly going up. Um, Now, the other stats you can obviously see are here. Let me turn on my little here uh, magic cursor. Yeah, here we go. So you can see like for the USA, he we we have over 70,000 people who have visited the website, which is just nuts to me. I mean, total users on the website is 152,000. I don't know if there's any duplicates in there, but I think the way Google Analytics works is that it counts unique visitors. So just just nuts to see that over 150,000 people have visited. Um, this one was just kind of for fun, but average time spent on the website was only 5 minutes, which I think is a little bit low. Um, and then this total events statistic here. This is actually the total number of interactions people have done on the website. So whether it's clicking a link or scrolling or whatever it is, we've had over 5 million events on the website. Yeah, the VPNs, yeah. So yeah, it probably is including some duplicates. So I would say probably about half this number is number of unique. And then of course the YouTube and Twitch stats. I mean, today is going to throw the stats way out the window, but over the course of 2023 for Twitch, we had an average viewer count of 102. We had 70 new follows and 9 new subscriptions, which that's my own fault. I don't use Twitch as much as I really should. So the amount of subscriptions and follows it could be higher, but it just isn't because I don't stream all that often. And then the YouTube, we've got YouTube video views as 34,000, and I think most of those come from the Living Skyrim 4 videos. Um, and then, of course, this whole presentation and the Q&A afterwards are going to be up on YouTube later, so that will help. But we did gain 161 YouTube subscribers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when your channel only has like, what is it? I think it's like 700 subscribers right now. That's a decent chunk. So let's talk about the new stuff. There are so many new things coming up in 2024. I am super hyped to share all of them because the hints have been on the website. So you might recognize some of these logos. We're going to actually talk about them in depth today. So the first list we're going to talk about is Atelier. And yes, that is the correct pronunciation of that word. I Googled it and it's Atelier. So Atelier 2 is going to be. So if I don't know how many people remember, but a long time ago we had Atelier because yeah, I can post a link to my YouTube channel. Let me pull that up. Um so Streamlabs is asking me to log in. I don't know why it's asking me to log in on Twitch, but yeah. So there should be a YouTube video or a YouTube button below the stream, or if you just go on YouTube and search for Forgotten Glory, I'm the first result. Okay, so a while ago, we had Atelier, which was a screenshot focused list. Thank you, Dr. Frosty. Screenshot focused list, and really all this list is like an absolutely gorgeous graphics package and a bunch of bug fixes. So the previous version of this list had some spicy additions, so like skimpy outfits and that type of thing. The new version, Atelier 2, is not going to have that spicy side. It's going to be entirely focused on just making the game as pretty as possible. And then if you want to go in and add your own gameplay mods and your own like overhauls and NPC replacers, all of those things, you'll be able to do so. Um, Primary focus is just to make the game as pretty as possible. This is going to be the ultimate. Ultimate might be a little hyperbolic, but it is definitely going to be our premier graphics list. Like it's going to be the prettiest list we've. Even prettier than both Living Skyrim and Masterstroke. It's going to be prettier than both of those put together. So that's the goal with this one. um, but yeah, the we really want to keep. Well, the beautiful thing about this list is you really can go in and add whatever you want. So really, there's going to be plenty of space to add. Yeah, exactly. You can always add your own. There's going to be plenty of room to add whatever mods you want. So if you want those spicy mods, then by all means go right ahead. Especially like skimpy outfits and all that stuff, you definitely can go ahead and do that. Nico35 and Crowfather and Mr. Hano, thank you all for the follows. Um, so yeah, really, this list, if you're familiar with our Skyrim Special Edition Essentials list, that is like just the bug fixes and tools to make your own mod list. Atelier 2 is going to be that plus a graphics package so that you can not have to worry about graphics. You're just going to have a gorgeous game, and then the gameplay can be whatever you want. Add Legacy of the Dragonborn, you can add Valhalla combat, you can add MCO, you can add animations, you can add spicy mods, whatever you want to do. That's going to be the whole focus of this list. And then, of course, we're also going to include a bunch of mods that make it really easy to take screenshots because while you can add to it, the primary focus of the list is how pretty it is and taking screenshots. So, yes, this I expect this list to definitely melt a few computers, and I haven't decided yet if we're going to do anything along the lines of like toning it back for weaker computers, but I that is definitely something I'm thinking about as we go into making the list. So my computer, if I remember correctly, my computer specs are listed below the stream. Yeah, it is. So it's a Ryzen 9 3900X, 32 gigs of RAM, a 3080. Oh, I haven't updated my graphics card. I have a 3080 instead of a 2080. Um, so yeah, all the specs are down there. Yeah, I did get a 3080. All right, so sorry. Actually, the my computer specs. Comer Zisco, thank you so much for the subscription. My specs are also listed on the website, and those I know for sure are up to date. All right, so let's move on to the next list, which is going to be. If you're able to cook breakfast on your computer with video proof, then we'll see about doing a warranty. All right, so the next list we're going to talk about is Silent Skyrim. And this list is currently in beta, so it is available to download and play. We've got one major bug that we really need to work out with this list before it's available for release, but we are pretty dang close. I think there's a few things I need to update as well. Um, but the whole point of Silent Skyrim, as I talked about earlier, is to turn the game into something completely different from normal Skyrim. Um, I mentioned before that the world is totally empty except for so like if you go to Whiterun, you'll find that Whiterun is totally destroyed, infested with undead, and there's a dragon sitting on Dragon's Reach. So Yeah, to compensate for that, we did add in a bunch of really tiny settlements that you can like still stay at an inn and shop with people and all those things. But the major cities, Riverwood, Whiterun, Solitude, Riften, all the vanilla major city locations is they're totally ruined. Now, to answer your question, by horror, what we mean is it's survival horror. So think along the lines of like Resident Evil 4 and maybe a little bit of like The Long Dark. So you've got like the survival aspect where you've got to manage hunger, food, um, sleep, and all of those things. And then you also have a bunch of enemies running around that you have to survive against. So it's more survival horror than like terror. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's so many undead. They're everywhere in Silent Skyrim. So it's definitely less Silent Hill and more Resident Evil, but it's a good blend of everything. You've definitely got the yeah. So there is a quest. You can still defeat Alduin. It doesn't really fix anything in the main world, but you definitely can still complete the main quest. You can defeat Alduin and go fight all the dragons, fight all the undead, um, all of those things. So yes, there is a goal, and um, that's my train of thought. Go figure. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say next, so I think we are just going to move on to the next list. Um, all right, so this is completely the opposite of Silent Skyrim, where Silent Skyrim is like serious and spooky and creepy. Immersion is jokes, memes, hilarity. There's going to be lightsabers. There's going to be terrible NPC overhauls. There's going to be jokes, and the mud crabs will swear at you, and they'll wear top hats, and it's going to be great. This is the ultimate meme list that you can still play because I know there is a meme list out there already that, from what I understand, and I just going off of what I've heard, makes the game totally unplayable. This is going to be a playable version, but also hilarious. So we're gonna have like Zelda items and lightsabers, and going to be unimmersive things, and we can do screaming Nern roots. I don't see why not. um, so yeah, so immersion is going to be my take on the meme and hilarious category of mod list. The dragons will probably still be dragons, but I don't want to give away all my secrets, so we'll see. This one I do definitely want to surprise people with. I want to keep a few things hidden on this one, so I don't want to give away everything just yet. And we've got 158 viewers, if my count is correct. That is incredible. Thank you so much for being. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to spend a little bit of time with me. Nam the Dark Lord, the Australian Furball, Super Beer, Tensi Sheena, Ornan. Thank you all for the follows. All right, so let's talk about Path of the Dovahkiin. Can one of the mods please ban that person? Thank you. Okay, so Path of the Dovahkiin. So Path of the Dovahkiin, if you're not familiar with the list, is one of our older lists. We are finally going to bring it into the modern era. Um, the best way I know to describe this list is to is that it's Diablo but Skyrim. So if you've ever played like Diablo 2 or Path of Exile or something like that, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this is Diablo in Skyrim. There's literally, and I'm not joking, when I say literally over a million pieces of different loot that you can find in Path of the Dovahkiin. And with Path of the Dovahkiin 2, we are going to do even more. So I'm aiming for like 2 million, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, so the whole point of this list is going to be that we're going to update all of the list, or yeah, we're going to rebuild the list from scratch basically. We're going to do a brand new graphics package, we're going to do a brand new loot overhaul, hopefully hit that 2 million mark, we'll see. Um but we're going to add more dungeons, we're going to update the combat so that it is more even more fast and furious. um I can't say how many hard drives you'll need, but I've got approximately 8 terabytes of storage on my computer, and I'm about half full. So I'm hoping I don't run out of space while I'm building all these lists. Hmm. But regardless, yeah, we're going to add more dungeons, we're going to update the combat, and update the graphics. So Path of the Dovahkiin 2 is going to be an entirely new list that we will uh, carry over the best parts of the original version and then update all the things that need updating. Yes, the enemy population in Path of the Dovahkiin is significantly increased. I want to say it's like 3 or 4 times vanilla. So like you can go into like Silent Moon's camp and there's like 30 people. Yes, this list actually will be stable on low and medium PCs. Graphics are not the focus of this list, so we're going to tone it back a little bit. It's going to be on par with Silent Skyrim. So if you can run Silent Skyrim, then you can run this list. They're actually going to be using very, very, very similar graphics packages, and Silent Skyrim will run on pretty much anything. So I'm expecting this list to be about the same. Thank you for the follow. I don't think so. And the only reason why is because the Thalmor version is because I think the Thalmor version is just the one add-on, and most of the other add-ons for Shattered Skyrim are focused on undead. So it the Thalmor one doesn't have quite as much support. So probably not. All right, let's move on to the final list I want to talk. And this one is probably going to be the most exciting out of everything we've talked about so far. It's either this next list or Path of the Dove. So Zenithar's Forge. Zenithar's Forge is our not answer. but it's our take on Wildlander. So, Zenithar's Forge is intended to be a hardcore roleplay survival list. So, what I mean by that is you'll have all the survival elements, but they're going to be cranked up to 11. We're going to have hardcore gameplay where if you die, you are dead. It's uh, literally YOLO. You only live once. And then we're gonna have all of the immersion and roleplay stuff. So we're gonna have like the ability to be a trader where you can wander between cities and buy and sell goods. We're gonna have the ability for you to buy player homes, assuming you can make enough money to do so. Um, we're gonna have magic be something that requires intense study and actual academics, I guess technically. But the whole point is for this to be you enter Skyrim and it's out to get you, pretty much. Combat is going to be brutal and deadly. Magic is going to be extremely difficult. Stealth is going to be extremely difficult. Um, but once you get past those initial stages of struggle, but once you get past those first stages of struggle, you'll be able to take on the world, but there's still always the chance that you'll get got, basically. Yeah, I mean, we can include a lot of player presets, and then you can always save whatever ones you make if you want. Yes, you will be able to make it to Riverwood. So the difference between Zenithar's Forge and Wildlander is primarily they're going to be very similar. Don't get me wrong; they're going to have very similar concepts. So the whole idea of have to struggle to become competent at things is going to be at the core of the list. The biggest difference between Wildlander and Zenithar's Forge, it, does Wildlander use Requiem? I don't think it does. Does it? It does. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be the biggest difference is we're not going to be using Requiem. We're going to accomplish similar things without using Requiem. Mainly because for me personally, Requiem is not difficult. It's just tedious. So the idea is to make things difficult and require forethought and preparation and planning without making things tedious. So that's one of the things that I really want to accomplish with Zenithar's Forge. I don't want to rely on Requiem when we can accomplish similar things without it. So I guess the other big difference between Wildlander and Zenithar's Forge is that I want Zenithar's Forge to be able to where you don't have to be an adventurer. You know, where you can just I don't know if you all remember, but the Skyrim grandma where she would just boot up Skyrim and then like do gardening and just live in her little player home and all of that stuff. I want that to be a possibility in Zenithar's Forge, where you aren't required to be this hero of legend or um, you aren't required to be the Dovahkiin. You're able to just kind of live your life if you want. You can be a wandering trader. You could be a blacksmith. You could all of these things I want be possible without requiring you to go and delve into dungeon, take on the really difficult combat. And honestly, I expect with this list when we're done with it, the progression path will be for your first few levels, you probably will have to be um like a really mundane profession where you're a blacksmith or you're an alchemist or something like that. And then once you've got your first few levels under your belt, then you can maybe look into becoming an adventurer once you've got those skills and experience under your. It's not going to be quite as populated as Living Skyrim. It's going to be more vanilla population level, but there is going to be a heavier focus on the more immersive aspects. So survival and professions and those types of things are really the goal then forward. I have not decided about alternate starts yet, so I'll keep you posted. There will be We're going to look at a timeline here in a second and you'll see why some of this information is a little vague. All right, so let's look at the timeline. So, first things first, January, right now. The goal is Masterstroke version 1.10. That's pretty much all I'm focused on this month, is getting that ready. So we're going to try and release that this month. Next month, February, I'm going to do my best to get Living Skyrim 4.3.0 done, and I'm also going to try and get Silent Skyrim to official release. So those are the two goals for next month. March, the goal is to get Atelier 2 into beta. I don't expect it will have a very long beta, but we are going to do a beta for it starting in March. April, we've got the POTD 2 beta. So that's going to be the focus for April, is getting that list ready. May is when Atelier 2 will come out officially, and it'll be ready for anybody and everybody to download. Should be pretty much bug free because pretty much all we're doing is bug fixes and graphics. I honestly, the Atelier 2 release is probably gonna be earlier than May. So May might be a break month for me where I just kind of step back and take a break, but we'll see. June, we've got the Immersion beta and the Path of the Dovahkiin 2 official release. And the Immersion beta is going to be a wild time because of the way the mods are, the joke mods, it's going to be really hard to distinguish what's a joke and what's a bug. So I expect that beta to be really, really interesting. And then in July, yes, I should preface all of this by saying these are estimates. These are what I would like to do, but I can't guarantee any of these dates. This is just my tentative plan looking ahead to the future. So if things change, please don't hold it against me. So July is when we're going to start working on ZenForge, and that's why some of the things for ZenForge I'm not really 100% sure on because I haven't really thought about it yet all that much. But in July is when I'm going to really crack down and start working on it because that list is going to be, well, I mean, you can see. I mean, we've got it begins development in July, and then in October we do a beta, and then we've got 2 months for beta, and then we do the official release in December. So I mean, I'm planning a 6 month dev cycle for ZenForge. So that list is going to be destroying my time. Um, August we've got the immersion release, and then in September we've got Living Skyrim 4.4.0 and Masterstroke 1.11. October we've got the ZenForge beta, and then November, it's a November and September are kind of like just what I have time for. So I'm not really sure if these particular updates will actually happen in these months, but that's what I would like to do. So in September, it could be a Living Skyrim update. It could be a Master Stroke update. In November, it could be the other one, whichever one needs updating. And of course, I should mention throughout all of this, all of the lists are going to be getting updates. So Path of the Dovahkiin 2 will be getting updates. Uh, Version will be getting updates. Silent Skyrim will be getting updates. Like Masterstroke, I'm sure will go down about a bajillion times. That I'll have to update it. So, but yeah, this is kind of like September and November are like catch up months where I'll be updating whatever lists need it. So we'll see what happens there. And then in December we've got the Zenforge. I would really like to get Zenforge out by the end of the year, and I think this timeline and September and November being kind of floating months, I think we can do that. All right. So that is our look ahead to 2024. But I've got one more thing. And this is something that I've been working on a little bit in the background here and there. And I think this is going to be really, really exciting for everyone. We are making launchers for every single list. The Masterstroke launcher has already been in development for a while, and this is a independent program that you can use instead of Mod Organizer 2 that will let you customize the list, it will let you change settings, it will let you launch the list. It contains links to all of the relevant documentation. So you can see here in the screenshot, I've got, the documentation, report a bug, MCM steps. You'll be able to open ENB Organizer directly from the launcher. You'll be able to launch Wabajack. There's a folder browser, so you can see all of the relevant folders. Of course, Discord, Patreon, and Ko-Fi, but you'll be able to use drop down menus to. So that's the really cool thing about this is under advanced options we still have the access to Mod Organizer 2. So if you want to go out and break rule 11, then by all means you can still do so. This just makes it so much easier for people who don't want to mess with Mod Organizer to actually play the lists. And um yeah, so it is pretty hype. So the Masterstroke one is going to be ready with Masterstroke 1.10. So with the next Masterstroke update, this launcher will be available to use and it will work. And we've been beta testing it. And yes, it is very soon, but we've been working on it. I've been working on it pretty much nonstop for the last couple weeks. And it's 99% ready. So when Masterstroke 1.10 comes out, this will be ready and the Masterstroke 1 will. Now, launchers for the other lists are soon. Let's say soon, because I'm not 100% sure when they will be ready. But there will be one for Living Skyrim, probably with the 4.3.0 update. But the rest of the lists, I will make them as necessary. So the Zenforge one, the Zenforge launcher will be ready alongside the Zenforge official release. Same with Silent Skyrim, same with Immersion. So as these lists come out, the other launchers will become ready. Now, I have a question for everybody, and I don't, I'm not sure how I feel about this idea, but I'm going to throw it out there. But I want to poll everybody. How does everybody feel about one single launcher for all of the lists? Because, and the reason I ask is because if we do one big launcher for all of the lists, then it's only one program that you have to download and use. Now, I will mention I've seen a couple people say about keeping downloads separate. The launcher does not download and install the list for you. You still have to do that through Wabbajack. This is just for launching the lists. Yeah, that is something I considered is crossing. So, so doing individual launchers kind of gets around the issue of mixing and matching between Masterstroke and Living Skyrim, because I understand that yes, not everybody wants to see the not safe for work stuff. So, Gregory Term, thank you so much for the 20 bits. Money's tight in the winter. Expect a new patron come late spring, early summer. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure how exactly I want to handle the multiple lists and multiple launchers situation. For now, I'm going to go ahead with a launcher just for Masterstroke. And if it becomes convenient to make it possible to switch between lists within the same launcher, then I'll probably do that. Probably with a not safe for work toggle. Good idea. Yeah, so the documentation, of course, will be updated to reflect the launcher and how to use it, how to install it and use it. It is a standalone executable file, so really you can just drop it on your desktop, launch it, and then find your Masterstroke install. So I'm hoping that it will help people who don't want to like go digging through Mod Organizer and all of that. They don't. It's not like they have to be in the same folder, or they don't have to be specific to like at a specific path. So. It's coming. 1.10. So yes, this is the one of the biggest projects that we've been working on recently. I will make it open source once it's available. Yes. Yeah, my whole idea about the launchers was you could just dump them on your desktop and then install the lists wherever you want, and then point the launchers at the install for the list, and then you don't have to worry about going digging through your folders to find each individual mod organizer. You can just run the launcher from your desktop and it'll boot up and launch everything. So this I am like 95% convinced that this will help a lot of people with launching the list and customizing it how they want. So that's a good question. The launcher is written in such a way that it doesn't. So like if a list goes into maintenance, it doesn't matter. The launcher and your mod organizer 2 will still work as long as you have them both installed. So yes, and yes, there is a button for opening up the launch or mod organizer through the launcher if you need it. So if a list goes into maintenance, then the launcher and mod organizer don't get affected by that. So you can still use it all as long as you're not trying to install or update the list. Can we mod the launcher? I mean, it's going to be open source, so technically, sure. All right. So, So this is that's a funny question actually. So the launchers are actually written using the Godot game engine, and it's written in GD script, which is very similar to C sharp, or there's it's got a little bit of elements of Python in there too. So if you're familiar with either C sharp or Python, then yeah. Yeah, so the reason I'm using Godot is because I don't like pretty much any of the options that like Windows development has for developing apps. Like what is it, WPF or like React or any of that. That's just that stuff is just it's beyond me basically. And Godot makes it super easy to do UIs and all of that stuff, and it's powerful enough that you can interact with files and um, executables and all of those things. So um, yeah, it's just like you have a really pretty interface and it's really functional. So it's like the perfect marriage. Yeah, exactly. XAML, that or XAML or however you say it. That's really what puts me off all of that stuff.